Discuss all of this a little further, we're joined now by Maximilian Hess, who is the founder of Enmatina Advisory, a London-based political risk and international relations advisory firm. Thanks so much for being with us, sir. Before we get into the latest peace proposal and where things are at there, what do you make of this plan to use frozen Russian assets to keep Ukraine in the fight? Do you think it will happen? And if so, do you think it's legal?
Thank you so much for having me. Firstly, I think it has to happen. And secondly, I do think it is legal. The structure that the European Commission has laid out structures this not formally as a seizure, but rather as a further instrumentalization of these assets and loans secured against them and against Russia's willingness to pay reparations. If it isn't willing, then its funds remain frozen. That's very simple. Russia is the clear aggressor in this war. Russia has launched over 100 other lawsuits against Euroclear since the full-scale invasion in 2022, and it has also refused to pay on dozens of judgments awarding billions of dollars to claimants affected by its own activity in the economic war. So Russia is happy to resort to lawfare when it needs to, but it is simply a tactic to try to intimidate the Europeans and scare them away from something that there's ample precedent for, both in relation to this conflict and in relation to past actions, whether it be in the run-up to World War II or in other sanctions programs internationally targeting Cuba, Iran, and others.
OK, let's talk about one of the major reasons that no agreement is in place at the moment, Donbass, the territory. Zelensky has said that he wants to see a referendum. The Kremlin wants all Ukrainian troops out. I mean, clearly there is a wide gap between the two at this stage.
Well, the negotiations are really still negotiations amongst the West about what kind of offer to put forward to Russia. What I think the Trump administration, which is the one pushing that effort, doesn't realize is that Russia will almost certainly find an excuse to reject any deal that isn't a complete capitulation to all of its demands, because Vladimir Putin wants to keep this war going, and he wants to ensure that he seizes all of that territory, and he crushes and destroys the Ukrainian government and even the Ukrainian nation. This is a war of aggression that tragically shows no end, that was launched unilaterally, and where right now essentially everybody is falling for Putin's trap in this negotiating tactic. But tragically, while we may see an offer put forward formally, and Zelensky does have to do that referendum under the Ukrainian constitution to be able to give up any territory, and so he's trying to do this to show to the Trump administration that he is willing to negotiate, but I don't think the Putin administration is willing to genuinely.
OK, well, Donald Trump's clearly losing patience here, with things really just going round in circles. Do you think he's going to step in and take action himself?
That is the big risk. Of course, we've seen Donald Trump lash out at Zelensky a number of times. We have to remember that he's actually put some of the most intense sanctions pressure on Russia itself in his actions in October, sanctioning Lukoil and Rosneft, the second and first largest Russian oil companies. We could very well see Trump lose patience with Putin and realize that he is essentially being played for a fool. And I would say I don't think Trump cares about the territorial integrity of Ukraine or some of the matters that Europeans care about, but he does care about the future of gas markets, the Arctic, and who profits from whatever settlement is there. And there he is as far apart from Putin on those issues as the Western European nations are from Putin on questions of territorial integrity and NATO expansion.
OK, Maximilian, thank you so much. We'll have to leave it there for the moment. Maximilian Hess for us out of London.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.